today we have one of our, I like to say controversial members, the former owner of Gateway Payments, Josh Foster. Hey, Josh.
Hello. How are you guys?
Doing great. Josh, now how long have you been in the industry?
I got in 2007, so 13 years. And in between, I had like a 1-year break.
Well, we'll get into that 1-year break later, but can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry?
Yeah, so in 2007, I was a realtor, selling real estate full time, and my brother and I were looking at acquiring a business and just a gym, tanning salon that was local in town. And in that process, the guy that was doing my mortgages for my clients, I told him that we were about to acquire this property. He's like, oh, if you need to set up credit cards, I got a guy locally, he's making a cut on the volume you're doing. And it just intrigued me. I was like, yeah, I'd like to learn more about it. Met with those guys and then ended up jumping on board with them. Now, we didn't go through with that business, but it did lead to the opportunity for me to meet this group out of South Jersey. And I ended up working with them for about 9 years.
Years.
You were with him for 9 years in merchant services, started in merchant services, correct?
Yes.
What did you do when you first got in?
So I was just an independent contractor sales rep. And then I just slowly transitioned. So I was still selling real estate for about a year or two. And this industry just took me out of real estate. So over that 2-year period, I just started, getting more active in the industry, selling more and spending more time doing it. And I just saw that residual income was increasing, and then I just made the commitment to convert over full time. And then for the remainder, I was just a sales rep. I would help trade. We were a small ISO. We had about 10 agents, all local people. We were just staying in our footprint.
Now, for you coming in this industry, I know it's been a long time, but do you remember the first merchant you ever sold?
Actually, I do. It was a pizzeria, and they were actually one of my old clients. I sold them a house. I knew they owned a pizzeria, and I just went to them naturally. I just hit my warm market.
That's smart. Circle of interest, warm market. What was the biggest hardship though when you first started?
Just having a lack of industry knowledge. I just went out and hit the street, and I was hungry and wanted to do it and put on clients, but I just didn't have a ton of industry knowledge. The small ISO I was working for just wasn't, they didn't have any training material. I just was thrown in the fire and learned as I went. Now in today's day and age, obviously that's not the current challenge you're seeing for agents. There's a lot more reading material you can go on YouTube, but back then it was just a different market.
And our merchant service group.
The group helps a lot.
On Facebook.
Well, I don't care how long you're in the industry. There's a lot of people with a lot of great industry experience, and I still go in there and ask questions every once in a while. There's things, it's a ever evolving industry, so the technology, everything. So, man, the group is definitely a huge asset.
So when you say you kind of got thrown to the fire out in the field and figured it out on your own, what do you feel? Do you feel like that did anything for you as far as perseverance or what led to any of your successes today?
Well, I feel that everyone learns differently. So for me, getting thrown in the fire, I'm a hands-on kind of guy. I got to get out there and just learn it the hard way. Just trial and error, improve from mistakes, and just keep moving forward. So for me, that's what works. But when taking a management role and bringing in reps and training new agents, things like that, everybody's different. Some people need their handheld. Others want just a wealth of material that they can read. They want to have handouts and leave behinds for their clients. There's just a huge variety of different people. For me, that's what worked for me. So everybody's different.
Can you teach merchant services to anybody?
Are they capable of learning merchant services? I mean,
you can't.
Huh?
Correct answer is no, you can't.
No, I would say there's probably limitations there, yeah. I mean, we've all recruited agents and had really high hopes, and not all of them pan out. It's definitely a tough industry, but for people getting in the industry and they stick to it and do well, they can do very well and change their lifestyle.
But you kind of you built a team. You kind of understand when you're recruiting now, and you talk to people. Do you kind of go, oh, this guy's going to be good, or this guy, or is it always a surprise for you?
What was the last part?
This guy's going to be good, or just by the interview, you know, this guy's not going to make it in merchant services, or is it still like kind of a surprise on everybody that you recruit?
So when we started Gateway, initially I went and targeted people without industry experience. I was targeting people like sales reps that I knew around town that were just good salespeople. They could sell me, marketing, whatever. And we went in there, and obviously we had to offset their pre-existing income that they were making. They couldn't just start in the industry as an agent only, commission only. So we actually went with the W-2 model, and we started paying guarantees, just a residual guarantee. Like this is the minimum amount of income you would make until your residual surpassed that amount. And it was a high amount. We were doing about $1,000 a week, so $52,000 a year, offering health insurance, everything. Now, you have extremely high hopes, but now they may be good at selling one product and service. They might be great at marketing. They might be great at selling digital advertising. Merchant services is just a different industry, different challenges. So it didn't always pay out. There's some that we lost a good amount of money on. There's others that are still selling for us today and they're on residual only. So it's just, there's a variety of it. So you just never know how good someone's going to be as a sales person. But I've interviewed tons of them, and I could tell me, like, oh, this person's not a fit. And I hate to ever just judge and think someone's not a fit, but you can usually tell if someone's ambitious. I think drive is by far the most important part of it, that they want to go out and work hard. But in today, we've learned just to do everybody 1099. We're done with W-2.
So I've got this theory: the W-2 employees or W-2 sales reps is what's going to be the downfall of the business. I see it as the big guys are, as they acquire, they move to the W-2 model. And there's a very good reason why they move to the W-2 model. We'll use the Heartland acquisition, for example. That was a prime acquisition. Everybody was making, on average, 15% residual. Guarantees weren't that high. And they were recouping their investment extremely quick because of that. I think as you see more of these acquisitions happen, for example, yours with PayRoc, everything else was going on, TSYS, that W-2 push is going to be made much larger. I think that people realize that in today's market that upfront money, that guaranteed money is, enough to win over a good sales rep, even if they are giving up, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in residuals, just because at first, that's unable to be foreseen. As long as we allow that trend to happen, I believe that the big three are going to own payment processing in a matter of no time. And we've actually brought this topic up. I think it was with Andy. Is that right, John?
With what?
Did we bring that topic up with Andy about the W-2 and the acquisitions? I think it was with Andy.
Yeah. Well, my question to you guys is, what do you think about vesting? Because this is a big topic that's coming up with a lot of new agents. They go, I don't understand what vesting is. And in my opinion, it's like, I've been doing this a long time, and I think vesting has become the joke of the industry. Is like, hey, you got to get to this certain spot to get vested. What do you think? It's more so that they're only getting people that are 100% in the merchant services, or do you think it's more just a money grab to go, I know that 80% of people or 85% of new agents are going to bust out, and I'm just not going to pay them?
So I'll like to speak on that first, then Josh, I definitely want to get your opinion on what I got to say. Josh hit this at the beginning about training and meeting people and interviewing folks, and not everybody can learn merchant services, so on and so forth. It's about what the ISO is going to be willing to put into those individuals at a training level, at a professional level. Are you going to take them out to the field? Are you going to knock doors with them? Are you training them in-house to sell merchant accounts over the phone via lead generation, cold calling, whatever it may be? I think that there's different levels. I think that investment is not a hard ask if you are taking your rep out to the field for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks and knocking doors, helping them build a pipeline, showing them hands-on how you do merchant services. If you're investing 6 weeks of your time plus ongoing support, my reps know that they can call me 9, 10, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to answer the phone or I'm going to text them, one or the other. I think that's a level of service thing. What's your expectation from your ISO? If you want to go sign up with, another ISO that is going to give you a login password to a portal that's going to give you absolutely no information about selling merchant services except for, the industry knowledge, quote unquote industry knowledge, then yeah, no, investment I think would be a hard ask. I think you just got to ask yourself, what kind of learner are you? Josh said he's a hands-on guy. He likes to get down the trenches and learn it. Or do you need somebody to hold you by the hand and teach you merchant services? I also believe, regardless of what type of person you are, you're going to see success much faster if you've got somebody that's been selling merchant services 3, 4, 5, 6 years, taking you by the hand and walking door to door and helping you build your pipeline, helping you perfect your pitch, showing you how to close deals, your body language, how everything matters in the closing process. So no, I don't think investment is a hard ask or something wrong to ask at all.
Where do you think is a level of investment that it should be that for the amount of time that you would put in personally?
If I was, what's that, Josh?
No, go ahead.
If I'm going to if I'm personally going to take a rep to the field and I'm going to work with them for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it may be, you got to think more than likely I'm traveling away from home. I'm stepping away from business activities, whatever else. So I'm going to ask that person to bring me 75 or 100 deals before they're 100% invested. And I don't think that's unreasonable at all. They're going to get that 7,500 deals in their first 9 to 12 months of working with me anyway. If they don't take that opportunity to get in the car with me, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn by any means, but it's sort of a lot of merchant accounts. If they're not going to get in the car with me and they don't want to learn merchant services from somebody that's been able to sell and with a successful track record, and they want to go figure it out on their own, they're not going to get that 100 deals in 9 months to 12 months. You can talk to them on the phone all you want. You can give them sales presentations all you want, but role playing and live information is always going to win. Education is always going to win. We've all had those sales reps that we thought were going to do great, and we feel like we're bashing ourselves in the head with them because we tell them the same thing over and over and over again. But 9 times out of 10, when I have a sales manager say, I've told them that 1,000 times, well, have you taken them by the hand and showed them? Well, no. And again, 9 times out of 10 of those, you take them by the hand and you show them a few times, they pick it up, they learn it, and they, break whatever bad habit they were that was deflecting them from, gaining merchant accounts. Just my thought.
Josh, what's your opinion on vesting?
So I'm not familiar with that terminology. You guys just spoke all about it, and I still don't know what that is. I come from a small ISO world, so.
Vesting's like what Heartland does, right? So they're like a W-2 but commission only, but they don't get their lifetime residuals or however you want to say it.
Gotcha.
A certain amount of residuals until they hit. I think it's 5,000 in MRR or 3,500 in MRR.
Holy smokes.
So monthly recurring revenue. So it's it's got to be, or residual. It's got to be 3,500.
I'm just not a fan of anything Heartland does. I'm a little biased. I think Heartland, now competing against them 12 years ago, 10 years ago, they were a force. Heartland was great. They were interchange only. They were compressing margins. They had great salespeople. And then ever since they had their data breach, there was a huge decline in Heartland. Now, I mean, there's reps out there that worked with us prior. From what I understand with Heartland is they usually do a 12-month bonus up front, and it's 50% residual, and then they don't get paid residual to the second year, and I think it declines to like 25%, and then in the third year 15%, and then they don't receive any residuals anymore.
No, it doesn't work that way. I think it's just 15 after the 12 months. But
okay.
To clarify on that, I mean, to make sure we're on the same page. with investment generally, with the exception of Heartland, you're paying them what their residual is supposed to be or is going to be after the investment point. I also think if you're going to have a investment, your investment's got to be more than 50%. I mean, come on, an agent brings you 100 deals in 9 to 12 months. The least that you can give them is 65, 70% after working with them for 6 weeks, retain them, continue ongoing education. But I still think that being fully vested where you get your lifetime residuals, if you're getting that kind of training, is a good move.
Yeah,
I think
we're talking about their investment, right? Not yours.
Correct.
Their
Correct.
investment's a little different where they have forced buyouts. Like, I don't know how you could do that if you have investment.
No, lifetime residuals in all of our reps. I feel like, so for me to have been successful and make this a career and then thrive in this industry and do well financially, having a good residual split and then having that security that as long as I took care of that merchant, managed them, handled the customer service, I was going to continue to get paid on it. So I think for any rep coming into the industry as an agent, now the first year obviously is going to be difficult. I don't know, depending on their financial situation. We never did bonuses up front or anything like that. But like for agent only reps, so we would have full-time reps that we're doing a guarantee on, and then we would have just agent only that were 1099, just lifetime residuals on the account. And then they had a buyout option in the end.
Do you think that coming into the industry as a brand new rep, it would be better to go to a smaller sub ISO, like that's going to take more hands-on approach, like, in Austin, or do you think it's better to just go straight for like a NAB or a First Data or Card Connect?
110% that Austin route, for sure. My whole career has been based in small ISOs. You're going to get more of a family atmosphere as long as you're in a good company that's doing right by the client. But you want to be with a provider that's going to be hands-on with you, help you, train you. If you want to make this a career, if you want to do this full-time and grow your portfolio and be successful, I think work with a smaller one. Now, there's going to be there's pros and cons to both sides. You may have more access to technology for larger ISO. But just working companies I've been with, if I had an issue, I could make a call to the same guy every day. Now, with a larger ISO, I have an issue, I got to call a 1-800 number. I'm dealing with a different representative of the company, and then I'm getting different support. The email chains, everything is just a mess. Where before everything's just A to B. I can contact one guy, send hey, I need this DDA change. Take care of this with the client. Boom, it's done. I need a rate change. Anything. I can just email, hey, we're dropping our pricing 15 basis points on this account. Done. Where anything else with a larger ISO is just a process.
I agree. I think that our group pretty well answers that question as well. I mean, we get 25, 30 new members at least every week, every 4 or 5 days. And the first thing I always see, the new members post is, hey, I've been with such and such ISO for 6 weeks and I still don't know what the heck I'm doing. Or can somebody explain basis points, or what's cash discount, or what's a deja vu, or what's Clover, so on and so forth, and these are individuals that are out trying to sell merchant services without any real base knowledge. I really think that's where, the large ISOs mess up at. They've got the capital, they've got the funding. Why are the large ISOs not investing more into agent training, or having educated sales managers, or educated trainers, or educated recruiters, or anything like that? It's cheaper to keep them than it is to keep going out and trying to churn, new sales reps. Those new sales reps that don't have the information or the education are a majority of the time individuals that are causing bad reviews or making a negative impact on the industry. And it's not their fault. It's just due to lack of education.
I think the bigger issue is there's a lot of predatory, companies in our industry. Our industry is definitely like the Wild West. There's a lot of companies that are designed to have a turnover model. They want to recruit as many agents as possible, telemarket and canvas the whole market. Those reps sign 15, 20 accounts, don't get paid any residual, to get a small bonus. And then after 6 months, they quit because it's not financially sufficient for them. Yep. And then at that point, the ISO just inherits the portfolio and kicks them to the curb. That's what they want. That's their model. So I think that's the bigger concern, is make sure to identify those companies and stay away from them.
But do you kill those companies by creating better alternatives?
Of course.
Then
Their
why are
retention
the
rate.
larger ISOs not taking advantage of killing their competition by creating a better product? I think that I think that large ISOs are always more concerned about. I think technology is huge. You got to have technology, but technology
Yeah.
doesn't mean shit if you can't retain your clients. My personal opinion. Look, I mean, there's been numerous cloud-based point of sale companies that were fantastic. Product was great, software was great, super functional, easy to use, but their customer service was shit. Their price point was all wrong. Their hardware fucking sucked. But they lost it. They lost it just because of their people, because of their training, and because of their education.
See, I think the market is correcting itself as well. And you've seen that transition over the years, that the merchant base is becoming more intelligent. You can only burn merchants so many times. I mean, that's actually our biggest roadblock going in, as walking in the door and speaking to a merchant.
Are merchants becoming more intelligent, or is the generation of business owners changing?
I don't know. That's a tough call. I think it's more that merchants have just got burned and they have trust issues with our industry. I think that's the more common kickback I get than
For older merchants. In my opinion, that would be for older merchants.
Yeah.
I feel like the younger merchants, they're more technical savvy, so they're gonna, gravitate to the more technical options or the easier options, right? And that's why, this is the one thing I could say is that no merchant service company would do, because I think they're so scared of losing their merchants, is building a community, right? That's why Square and Stripe, in my opinion, are so successful without actually having to do the customer service that a regular ISO does, right? Is because if you look at Square, they have a community. Like if you go to Square's support and they'll send you to their back site, there'll be 50 people who aren't part of the company answering questions that a merchant has. Like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Oh, well, this is easy. Just go over here. That's where SaaS is going. It's building a community. It's Metcalfe's law, right? It's the network effect. The more people you have in the network, is the stronger and the more valuable it's going to be.
See, well, you're the most organized man in merchant services that I know, so that's my nickname for you. Because I didn't know that. I did not know that Square had a back community, and that's actually pretty smart. That they can just communicate with each other about features, things like that. They help each other, and smart. Now I can tell you exactly why major ISOs or any ISO is not doing it. And the reason why is because Square has the same pricing for all their merchants. So you start going into a community of merchants that have different pricing. Hey, what are you paying? I'm paying 15 basis points. What are you paying?
But is cash discount the way to rectify that?
Well, that's the same thing, because we don't know the future of cash discount either, because margins are eventually going to be compressed on cash discount as well. Hey, I'm paying 4%. My customers are paying 4%. Now it's going to be 3.5%.
I disagree 100%. I've had so many merchants call me and say, hey, Joe Schmo came in here and said that he could do it for 3%. And I'm like, great. Did you switch? They're like, no, I don't give a shit. I mean, what kind of level of service are you presenting that a merchant is going to change from you to save, and it's not going to save them any money? Like, are they going to switch to a new guy that they don't know and that they don't trust when there's no benefit to them whatsoever?
Well, it depends if that provider or that merchant signed with a local provider or a national provider. If they go with they see a Facebook ad in some company and I go in there and say, hey, I'm a local provider. I can do it for less. They're overcharging. This is our community. They're overcharging local people. Would you rather your customers get charged 4% or 3%? Hey, listen,
but then you're driving down the market.
Yeah, exactly. But
then you're hurting your own pocketbook, because you have merchants that aren't in your local community, I'm assuming. I know I do. I think everybody does. And the same thing that you just did to that gentleman, somebody else is going to do to you. Oh, this Josh guy, man, I looked him up. He's all the way down in New Orleans area, Destin area. He's on the beach, Emerald Coast. We're up here in Wyoming. Why are you going to stick with him?
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing. And I think that's where we kick our own ass. That's how we ended up where we were pre-cash discount. That's why accounts were being sold at 5, 10, and 15 basis points and 3 or 4 cents a swipe. So when I first came into the industry, like, you would get your teeth kicked in by a sales director if you handed in a deal that was less than 10 cents a swipe or 8 cents a swipe or less than 25, 30, 40 basis points.
What
I
year did
have
you
reps send me deals from other companies that they wrote up that are 5 basis points, 4 basis points, 2.5 cents a transaction. I'm like, how long did you work on this deal? And they're like, oh, it took me like 4 weeks. And I'm like, you're not going to make any money on it.
What year did you get in the industry?
2013, no, almost 2014.
When I got in the industry, the majority was still on tiered pricing, so we didn't even do that.
Tiered pricing was phasing out. So, I got in,
It's
when
so
EMP
weird
was
is
still hot
the
and heavy.
revolution of
And
that.
what's that?
It's so weird, the revolution of that, how it went from interchange plus to tiered, then to ERR, then back to tiered, and now back to interchange plus and cash discount.
You said ERR. I just seen an ERR count a couple of days ago. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know you could still do that.
I don't know anybody who still does it on tiered pricing, to be honest with you. Except maybe Riverside Payments. I did see a merchant statement from Riverside Payments.
Still at ERR.
They did tiered pricing.
Target smaller markets, so major city markets you're not going to see, but you hit these little hot, I go into these little Alabama little tiny markets.
No. I still see people on tiered pricing, but I don't see people pitching tiered as much.
No. Mm-mm.
I don't know.
That's never my first instinct to say, hey, you should be on tiered pricing. I'll do flat rate. So flat rate if they can't understand interchange.
I think flat rate and cash discount are the future. Simplicity. And I think the moment Square decides to go, okay, we're going to do surcharging, cash discount, or a hybrid version of it or whatever, we're in for a little trouble there.
I had a restaurant group I was just working on, 15 locations. They average about like 200,000 a month. I think they were doing like 2.5 million in that range collectively between all of them. And he was on interchange and he wanted a flat rate. He's like, I don't trust this. I don't know what I'm reading on my statement. I don't know what these fees are. No matter how much I try to explain to him, he just couldn't. I don't want to learn this. I don't trust companies. I don't know what you're going to squeeze in here. I just want to know one flat rate. I do 200,000. I'm at 2.5%. I know my bill is $5,000.
Yep.
Or whatever flat rate. That's what he wanted. And you're seeing that more common. Square was obviously the one that made that popular. Square 12 years ago or 10 years ago, or whatever it was, 275. I would laugh at merchants, not literally, but like in my mind, you're paying 2.75 and you're running it through your cell phone. Square has become. I absolutely respect Square. And when I see sales reps bashing Square, I'm like, Square's doing a good job.
A merchant is doing less than $4,000, $5,000 a month. It's trying to get credit card processing. They're using Square. I generally tell them, stick with Square, dude. When you grow, because you will grow. When you grow, I'll check in with you every few months, and as your volume comes up, I'll be able to provide better solutions for you. But right now, beyond service, if you just want to pay me for my service, I'm all for that. But at the same time, there's got to be some business aspect to it too. Stick with Square. If you need some help growing, we have our SMS marketing, social media platforms, so on and so forth. We can definitely help you out with that so we can get you off of Square and into something more traditional, something more customizable to you. But until then, stick with Square for your processing. I'll tell them that all day long.
Well, after Dodd-Frank, so I love flat rate, but Dodd-Frank I think benefited us and benefited small businesses by reducing debit costs.
Yeah.
The thing is, we don't know what kind of regulation changes are going to happen in our industry. Anything can happen. You never know. And on flat rate, I think you do expose yourself, especially if you're extremely aggressive on a flat rate margin. Because my lowest client I have at 195 flat. No assessments, just everything, interchange assessments all built into that.
What is their real effective rate before you're split? Like 1.6?
We're averaging about 25 basis points on it. Chiropractor average ticket's $100, majority debit. Yeah, so it makes sense. But if there's any kind of regulation changes, now we're exposed. You're gonna have to go back to those merchants and increase rates.
Well,
should we
better be careful, because every April and November or April and October, Visa, MasterCard go cha-ching.
Hey, but they were the good guys this year and said, hey, don't worry, merchants, we got your back. We're not going to increase your fees for another 5 months.
Yeah. The good guys.
Oh, thanks, you guys. I appreciate it. We should definitely do a part 2 to this, though, that maybe addresses a little bit deeper into that interchange stuff. And we should definitely make a part 2. There's a lot of stuff that I still want to go
Yeah,
over with
real quick
Josh
before
one
we
more
go,
time.
Josh, I want to know what you did to survive COVID with your business.
Oh, God. So
He's like, do you
2008.
see this tan, man?
Yeah, right. That's hey, living in Florida. 2000. I got in the industry 2007, and shit hit the fan 2008 with the banking crisis and everything. And then what I learned is we saw a reduction in volume for our merchants, so we were taking an immediate loss. But then the silver lining was I think 2009, 2010 were my 2 best sales years. Now I'm thinking COVID is. We saw a major reduction in volume. I think our whole portfolio, since we're in a tourist market, so we're very restaurant driven, retail driven, our portfolio was down around 80%. So I got clobbered. March, I lost a ton of money. April, I lost a significant amount of money. And in May, we're seeing that increase because we're opening back up. So, we're losing probably like 30% this month, 25%. So
I'm doing more in May right now than we did in February of this year. It's insane.
What's that?
So we're doing more in May, volume-wise, right now than we did in February before any of this really hit.
Really?
Yeah, I am super stoked for small businesses right now. A lot of my stuff is small town, small business, retail like you, restaurant. And dude, communities they've got their hands to the merchants' backs. So at least out here in the Midwest, their hands are up there propping them up. They're helping them out. They're shopping. I think it's a fantastic thing. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm super, super stoked about that.
Me as well. When we had a Memorial Day weekend and there was traffic everywhere, I was happy. Never been happier to sit in traffic in my life.
I was
have
in
any
Destin
merchants that
March
closed?
13th, so I think that was like the last weekend that people were like in Destin. So you guys, I don't mean to leave you guys quick. I've got another call that I'm 1 minute late for. But
All right, go make your call. I'll wrap it up.
Thanks, you guys.
So all right, Austin. So to finish that question, John, the silver lining is right now in the last 3 weeks to a month, I probably put on us as a group more business than we've ever done in a quarter. We're just signing every day. I just apps and people that I was working on a year ago that just said we're not interested. We're saving $3,000 a year, $2,500 a year, and they just good economy. We're making money. We don't want to make a switch. It's not a big priority. But now they're desperate for money, and I'm getting phone calls from people I haven't talked to in a long time. Big opportunities. It's also, I think, the biggest. So initially, the knee-jerk reaction was everything was going to go more to online. I think you're still a believer in that too. You're going to see that natural progression over time of e-commerce is going to continue to take a chunk of retail, but I don't think this is expediting it. As far as restaurants,
I think contactless is the future, man. Nobody wants to give their credit card over. Most of the times I've had my credit card stolen, I didn't even lose the card. I was at a bar and I gave the credit card to somebody. They went and held it to open a tab. And then 2 states over, I'm getting charges from TJ Maxx or Marshalls or so. And by the way, that happened in Florida, Palm Beach, twice. Just want to say it's a Florida thing. You guys got a bunch of thieves there.
Go to New Orleans.
I'm over that too now that you just brought that up.
So I am a big fan of contactless. I show every one of my merchants. When I'm getting rung up at places that that aren't even my merchants, but yeah, you could do this. So I'm just a fan of it in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I forget what we were talking about. My brain's fried.
That's okay. We got 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Where do you see the industry in 5 years?
I don't know. I think you're going to see a lot of these smaller ISOs get gobbled up by larger ones. I think you're going to see a lot more POS systems become proprietary or partner with processors and just not be agnostic. Like we're just going to get forced out. I'm not sure. I think you're always going to have a market. There's always a market for small merchants that just want a VX520 or a Deja Vu or a PAX terminal. I don't think they're ever going to go away. So there's always going to be sales. You have the idea of digital currency that's been floating around. I don't know how that impacts our industry. That's going to be just a bank account transfer. And if we're able to process that, we're going to get a rev share on that.
Yeah, you ain't getting rev share on Venmo and Cash App. That's
it's not branded. Visa or whatever. It's just, I don't know.
I see all these little service guys with that on their van now. It's starting to irritate me.
Yeah.
Pay me with Venmo, Cash App. Like,
Yeah.
damn you guys.
But me as a consumer, and it's not that I'm biased because I'm in the industry, I don't want to. I got a debit card. I don't want to do like some PayPal me or Venmo me. Like, just send me an invoice I pay with my debit card or my credit card. So I don't know. I just know that there is a timeline, I believe, on this industry, and all I can suggest for new reps is just build a massive portfolio, and when the time feels right to get out, sell. You know, I love the industry. I don't want to leave it. I'm gonna stay in as long as humanly possible. But when the day comes, I'm gonna try to be smart about it.
I appreciate the honesty. And my last question for you, and this one's the one I give everybody. Tell us about the one unicorn merchant that got away.
Oh God, there's endless ones.
You got to have one that you either worked so hard for, or it was like you saw your bank account just jumping leaps and bounds if you got it, and it just fell away.
Well, one of my favorite accounts, this isn't the one, but really quick, from a selfish standpoint, one of my favorite accounts is a massive resort that several million a month in volume. I mean, overall, I think like 20 some million a year. We had a compressed margin, but we were making money on refunds or returns. And just a great client. You know, when my partners would fly into town, we would stay at this resort, everything. It was just great. And his bank came in and he was getting a loan, and you know what happens with that. So I lost the deal. But that's not my unicorn that got away. Was I was working on another restaurant group, again, high volume, high profitability, but it was for one of my sales reps. And my sales rep ended up having a brain aneurysm.
Oh.
So she was one of my best reps, and I was trying to close this account for her for months after she had the aneurysm. She's still functioning, but she can't work anymore. You know, I go to her house and visit her and everything. And I wanted to close this deal for her so she can get some money. You know, that she was going to inherit that, her residual split. And I still do that for her. Like if it was an original lead she provided, I'll go close it for her and put it into her portfolio. But this one was life-changing for her. She would probably make $70,000, $80,000 a year with the volume and margin. And if I got that deal, it significantly helped her family. I ended up losing it. They went with a local person that was in another market because there's multiple owners involved in the property. And one of the minority partners had a family member that was in the industry, just matched our pricing. It just went in and snuffed the deal up from us. And I was so pissed about that. So
that sucks.
Yeah, so I wanted to do it for my rep. So that's the unicorn. Like, there's other ones out there. Trust me. If you're doing it this long, you know, like you always get your roller coaster experience. You have your wins and your losses.
Oh man, that sucks. All right, well, I appreciate you being on, and hopefully we can do this again and try to go a little deeper into some of the ins and outs of this.
Yeah, I can talk merchant services all day, man. So just let me know.
All right, man. You have a great weekend.
All right, brother. You too.